Hi, Colette. It's nice to meet you, and thank you very much for joining me. How are you?
I'm good, Joseph. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you, and thanks for being
Thank you.
here. Uh, Colette, before we get into it, can you tell me a bit about yourself, how you discovered carnivore? How did it all start for you?
Okay. My name is Colette. I live in Ontario, Canada. I'm a mother of three, and I just got married to my husband about 4 years ago. I'm a farm girl through the core. I was born and raised on a farm, a beef cattle farm with my parents, and now my husband and I have our own farm. We raise our own animals. So with my story with carnivore, I've been doing carnivore for 2 years. I tried carnivore about a month before I got serious with carnivore. I had tried it for 2 weeks. And I guess at that time I just wasn't ready. I did it for 2 weeks, and at the end I said, oh my God, I can't just eat meat. Like, this cannot be my life. There has to be other alternatives. And about a month after, I listened to Dr. Kiltz podcast. I don't know how it came up. I'm really into listening to podcasts, and he had just come up on one of the podcasts that I listen to all the time. And I said, you know what, let's just listen to it and see what he has to say, basically. And Dr. Kiltz had said that he had clients that had endometriosis that basically put their endometriosis into remission with doing carnivore, and they were able to get pregnant and everything else. And I had decided, I at that point was living with endometriosis, and I was in pain every single day. Like, I would go to bed in pain. I would wake up around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and wasn't able to sleep anymore because my back and my hips would hurt so much that I'd have to get up and basically sleep on the couch, kind of thing. And when you've been doing that for over a year, you become desperate of trying to find something that's going to cure this. And I'm not one to, I don't believe in medication all that much. I find most medications just kind of mask the problem and don't resolve anything. And then you're stuck on that medication for the rest of your life. And that's not really something I wanted to do. Like, I strongly believe that people should work on themselves and better themselves. And if that has to do with cutting everything out and just eating meat for the rest of your life, or until you find another solution or whatever, then so be it. So I started carnivore, and within I don't know why I always say 3 days, because that in my head stuck out. From 3 days on, I was completely pain-free. So that first week, that gave me enough conviction to say, yeah, this is something I'm going to stick with and see where it goes and how far I can push it and see what I can cure with it. So that's my beginning story with carnivore.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. I mean, yeah. So I guess just I'm not too familiar with endometriosis. I hope I'm not butchering this. Like,
Yeah.
what are the common symptoms like you're experiencing like with those? I know you mentioned like pain, a lot of pain, and that you experienced this pretty much before carnivore, and then they disappeared. Like, was it like a back pain or like a leg pain? Yeah.
So a lot of women get different endometriosis symptoms. They might get something that I don't. For me, it was like I said, the back pain in the middle of the night. It would continue on during the day, and then about once every 2 weeks or once every month, depending on how bad my body was inflamed, I would get massive flare-ups. So massive flare-ups for me was consistent of like almost electric burning rod going up into your bottom parts, let's say, to the point where it hurts so bad, and like you're contracting. It's, to me, it's worse than childbirth, because what happens is that you don't get a break. Like childbirth, you get like you get contractions and you push and you're like, okay, it's not too bad, and then a few minutes later it kind of like comes back again. With endometriosis, it's like a constant pain of contraction for a period of like, it could last up to a day. Usually when it happens with a flare up, I get a flare up, and then the 1 or 2 days are really bad, where to the point where I'm taking like really hot baths just to like calm my body. And then for 2 weeks after, I'll be sore because my body now just had a major inflammation, and I'll be sore for 2 weeks after that. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. You mentioned you started it like 2 weeks, and then I think that's pretty much your test, right? Like to see if this thing is gonna work. Like how long did you do the research for before jumping onto it? Did it took you like weeks or maybe just days? Hey, this is making sense. Let me just jump onto this.
Yeah. So like the first time I tried carnivore, I had researched it a little, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, this kind of makes sense. Like, and when I had Dr. Kiltz podcast, I said, you know what, let's really look into this. So he had said that he had people on his site and to go listen to his their testimonials and stuff like that. So sure enough, I found his website, went on there. There was a few ladies that said that, yes, this helped with their endometriosis. And then I had done some of my own research apart from Dr. Kiltz. And sure enough, there was women out there, not very common. I think because people like, this is kind of funny to me to say, because it's in such a short amount of time, from 2 years to now. I find like 2 years, people really didn't know what carnivore was. People were still trying to like, do people do that? Like, is that really a thing? Like, and sometimes people would hear about it, but they would be like, oh, that's nothing. It's just weird. Like, and, with everything that I do, like I had PCOS, now it's in remission. I put that in remission as well. And every symptom that I've ever had in my life, I'm on the internet Googling. I know they tell you not to do that, but when your doctor keeps being like, oh, no, there's nothing wrong with you and blah, 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 you're like, well, you know what? I feel kind of like there's something wrong with me. So like I would put my symptoms in, and then like, so yeah, I kind of always go against the grain of what's normal. And then people are like, you can't trust the internet. No, I know. But you got to trust your body, right? Like, so you got to see what works. So yeah, no, I did a lot of research. And to me, nothing is better results than your body saying, yes, I feel good. Like you're not in pain anymore for the first time in like a year and a half. You're not in pain. So you did something right. So to me, like that means like, okay, my research and my application of this carnivore diet, to me, that shows it's working, because I had not changed anything else in my life. Like that's the only thing I changed. And people, I always want to say, sometimes I make comments on little Facebook groups and stuff like that. And people say, oh, well, it's because you took all that stuff out. Like, I'm like, what stuff? I was a clean keto eater for 4 years. The only thing I took out was fruits and vegetables. So I wasn't eating junk before. I've cut out sugar for over 6 years and carbs for 5. So the only thing I was eating was fruits and vegetables and nuts. So to me, it's not about the junk food, because I wasn't eating any. So it's the proof is in the pudding. That's what it is. And when you just switch that, then it has to be that's the cure, right? So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I so agree with what you said. I feel like I get that also from other people. Like sometimes it triggers me, like when they say, it's because you cut up, all the sugar and all the processed food. No, it's not just that, I also cut out the vegetables and fruits, So this is all like part of the whole, being carnivore thing. You just stay with the meat. Yeah, but it's triggering me every time I hear this from like friends and like family members.
Yeah. No, I feel like it's because those types of people are not educated in what oxalates do, what fruits, and like, you know what I mean? Like they don't go into the research of what that does. Like I'm really into, like I said, I'm really into podcasts. So I'm really into like Thomas Friedman and Dr. Ben Bickman and stuff like that. Like somebody was saying on one of those Facebook groups, they had a hard time like sticking to the diet. And I commented saying, if you know what your body's doing, that's why I said, go follow Dr. Bickman, because he explains it very well, how the insulin works and stuff like that, right? So if you know that, and you believe in his research, and he's proven it multiple times over and over, if you see that and you believe that, then you can never go back to eating what you were eating before because you know better. You know what I mean? Like, so stuffing your face with like junk, or you know what I mean, that's not really an option anymore. Once you have the knowledge of what's right for your body, and not just for my body, for everybody's body, right? Like, that's how the body works. Like, everybody says, oh, it works for you. Yeah, but it could work for you too. Like, you know, and I don't believe that everybody should follow a carnivore diet. I strongly don't believe that. If you want to lose weight, go on keto. I lost over 100 pounds just on keto before I tried carnivore. And then I lost another like 50 pounds, right? So people want to lose weight, go on keto. That's fine. But, and if you don't want to go on keto, well, then just eat like they say, the Lord's food, like, you know, what's grown on the planet. If it's anything man-made, you shouldn't be putting that in your body. That's like in our family, like my husband eats that way, my daughter eats that way. You know what I mean? So that's just what we believe now. So and we raise our own animals, and what we don't raise, like we don't raise cows right now because we're not quite set up for that yet. But we do buy a cow every so many months, 4 months. We buy half a cow from a local farmer and stuff like that. So we do believe in like just eating from the farm and stuff like that. So
yeah. Wow, that's really quite awesome, actually. Now that you bring it up, so you've been keto for 4 years before even switching to carnivore. I feel like that's you know, I've only done paleo for like over a year, and I feel like it took a while. It took a lot for me to discipline, and to do it for 4 years. To me, that's a lot of discipline, and I can just imagine. But I guess my question is, were you ever like skeptical of carnivore at all, like before even jumping onto that? Like, you know, like with me,
I'm kind of a jump in kind of person, like, you know, so I jumped into it, and my husband, we were newly together, and he thought I was a little crazy at the beginning. he didn't say anything. He was very supportive at the beginning. He didn't say anything. Yes, honey, you can do it, you know. And then after a month, a couple of months, I think he told me, he's like, "Ooh, I thought you were going a little bit off the deep end there." But even himself, like, he couldn't deny the difference in my life. Like, he just couldn't get over it, like, you know. And after he saw the results, he's like, yeah, okay, keep doing it and see. And yeah, so no, I don't know. Like, I think once, like I said, once you inform yourself on what oxalates do and how the insulin works and how what feeds cancer and stuff like that, like, I think you'd be kind of like, I'm trying to find a nice word, but you'd be kind of silly to go back, right? Like, I don't know. Like, once you know the truth, that's what it is. Like, so yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. No, I totally agree with that, because earlier you mentioned like one of the signals. If you're not feeling any more pain, that tells you, you know, this is the right thing to do for your body. You know, I mean, what else could it be, right? So
Yeah,
I
exactly.
totally agree with that. Okay, so Colette, looking back at the start of your, I guess we could do keto or carnivore journey. Were there any mistakes you made? And tell me how and what and how you learned from them. What did you learn from them?
Yeah, so my body's very good at telling me what to do. I've learned over the years to listen to it because it doesn't play around. Like, it'll give me 1 or 2 days to play around with what I think I can eat again, and then the 3rd or 4th day, my body will tell me no. So let's get real. I didn't lose 150 pounds in like 3 years or 4 years or whatever. It took me actually 10 years to change, like, you know. And every step, it was because I felt bad. Like, my body felt good. It didn't feel good. So every year I would change something, and every year I'd get used to not having that. So I started just kind of watching what I eat first, and that was fine. And when I went into keto, I cut out carbs and sugar. I cut out sugar first because I had recognized in myself that I had a food addiction. I was a binge eater. I would binge 5,000 calories a night. Like on the weekends, like that was my treat, you know, like, and I think you can only do that for so long before your body says, yeah, no, we're not doing this anymore. Like that's hard on the system doing that. And then I started looking into that. Like, okay, I think I read a book. I don't remember her name, but the book was Brain Over Binge. And I read that book, and the way she explains it was beautiful, that we're all controlled by this alien brain. Not this alien brain, but this reptilian brain telling you to eat and all that stuff, right? So once you learn to control that, then you know how to move on from that. And when I started Carnivore, so I was feeling good. And then at the beginning, like I wasn't really strict. Like I did have a little bit of fruits. I was having coffee, like, you know, onions a little bit here and there. And that was fine for a little bit. But then after a while, my body was like, kid, no, that's not enough. Like, so I said, you know, maybe in order to get serious, let's cut everything else out. And I cut fruit out and stuff like that. And I would say about a year in, I said to myself, you know what, it's summertime. Like, let's have, you know, you always want watermelon or friggin' strawberries or something like that. Like those two are my favorite fruits, right? So I'm like, yeah, let's just have a little bit every day. Like, so every day I had a little bit. For 5 days I had a little bit. And I'm like, oh, maybe I can get away with it. I always think I can get away with it, but I don't. And then my body was like, on the fifth day, my body said, oh yeah, you don't want to listen? She had given me the biggest attack I've ever had in my life, to the point where like I literally had to call my daughter to come and get me at work. And I could not handle the pain, like, you know, and it's sad to say, but women with endometriosis, like my husband's always like, go to the Emerge. Unfortunately, doctors don't do anything. They just pump you up with pain meds and send you home. So, and I don't want to take that stuff. Like, you know what I mean? So no, I always say, like I said before, like I always find it funny, like that in a sort, it's a blessing that my body's like telling me no, like, and she's very stern, right? Like, no, we're not having this. Whereas opposed, some people can eat that stuff and they don't know they're doing any harm to their body because it's all internal, right? Like they don't have any symptoms like that, but so it's a little bit harder. So I'm kind of happy that she's a little bit more strict. I talk about my body like she's a third person or something. You know what I mean? I always find like she has her own identity. I don't know. So, but yeah, no, she's a great teacher. Like, it's like almost like an old mistress with a ruler that's going to slap you on your hand when you don't do your work properly, right? So, no, she tells me when she doesn't like something. And it's funny because I was drinking coffee for the longest time and I cut it out. I want to say like, I had cut it out for 2-3 months. And now when I try to reintroduce it, my body said no. I tried to have coffee. Just a plain coffee sends me into an attack now. And I tried to do decaf, and I did decaf, and I almost got a migraine every single day for the time that I had tried to drink decaf. So I kind of just strict with what I can eat. I can eat most meats, don't bother me. I can have a little bit of dairy. Once in a while, I can have onions and garlic. Spices don't bother me too much. But I kind of stay away from what I know my body says, no, we're not doing this. So, yeah. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, you mentioned about the food addiction and like binge eating. And I think your favorite food, you mentioned watermelon and strawberries. Like, were those the thing that like pretty much, really hard to give up for you, along with the coffee?
Yeah. Well, the binge eating was before I did keto. So before when I did keto, and I addressed my food addiction in myself, that's something internal that you have to work on. Everybody has to work on themselves with binge eating, food addiction. Most people have food addiction, and sometimes, most of the time, it's not really your fault. It's what they put into the food, right? So if you stop eating that processed food, you don't become food addicted. Like, I don't remember ever binging on meat. Like, since I'm a carnivore, I don't sit down on the couch and eat 3 pounds of like ground beef, like, you know what I mean? That's not a thing. So I think that's a lot of mental, but you have to be strong enough to say, okay, yeah, I'm not going to eat that stuff. So a lot of that comes from education, right? Comes from educating on how they process the foods. And when I started admitting to myself that I was a food addict and I had a sugar addiction and all that stuff, I started researching, okay, what do they put in our food and what is it doing to us, and what the stuff they spray on the wheat and all that stuff. And I started to get mad. Like, I'm in pain now and I have all these problems of what they put in the food, of stuff that I shouldn't be eating, like, you know. And that changed. I became angry about that stuff for the longest time. And that anger carried me through. To now. You know what I mean? Like, once you know the truth about that stuff, you can never go back. Like, and yeah, so my husband and I are super passionate about raising our own food. We do have a little farm stand and we sell our meats there and our eggs there and stuff like that. And we're passionate about showing people this is food. This is what you should be eating. Like this, you know, you should know where your food comes from. You should know where your cow comes from. You should know. And if it's prepackaged, you just don't eat it. That's it. Like, it's, you know, sometimes people tell me, like, I love to bake. I used to love to bake. Obviously, I was a cereal eater, right? So I love to bake. My mom raised me. She showed me how to bake, you know, and I love to bake for people, and I still bake for people, and that doesn't bother me. And why doesn't it bother me? Because it's not my food. Like, you know, like I was thinking of that today. I was like getting ready for this podcast, and I thought, oh, what, you know, like Dr. Kiltz always makes me laugh because he always says a lion doesn't eat vegetables, like, you know, and he always goes on about that. But it's true. Like, a giraffe doesn't get jealous about what the lion is eating, or then the lion doesn't get jealous of what the giraffe is eating. Like, and people have a hard time, like, oh, my husband and my kids, they can eat whatever they want, but I'm doing carnivore. Exactly. That's what you can eat, not anybody else. You have to concentrate on what's on your plate and what makes you feel good. It's not about everybody else. So that's why I can turn around and bake my mom a birthday cake, and that doesn't bother me. I can have candy on my table when people come and visit, because that doesn't bother me, because that's not their choice. I made a choice to be carnivore. I made a choice to be healthy. And I like to entertain people. And sometimes I'll have a little bowl of candy or some chips or whatever, because that's their choice. That's what they like to eat. You know what I mean? So I don't believe in telling people, oh, you should do this. Like, no, to become carnivore, you have to make that decision. It's a very personal decision, and you have to know why you're doing it. And that's very personal. And you have to be fully convinced of your why. Because if you're not, it's hard. Like, it is hard. I'm not telling people it's easy. I find it easy now because, oh my God, what's easier than throwing a steak on the barbecue and you're done? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's simple. You don't even have to think about it. You eat it, you're done. Like, you know what I mean? That was good. Like, it's not a whole like religious experiment, like where there's like, oh, you got to eat this and this and this, and I got to have bread. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it takes them an hour to cook their meal and I'm done in 20 minutes. It's like, okay, we're good. Like, so, yeah.
Yeah. I really agree with that. Yeah. I mean, everything is simplified now. Like, you know, like you said, you know, you see people like cooking their meals, and I watched some cooking show. It would take like a lot of process, like cutting everything. But with carnivore, you can do it in like what, 10, 20 minutes or so, or probably even less, you know. Yeah. And I like when you said about the, you know, your why is very important, you know, like, because this is a big personal decision. So
yes,
if you don't have a big why, then I don't think you're gonna get over the whole discipline in the beginning, you know. So
yes, yeah, exactly. Until, like they say, it takes about 28 days to build a new habit, right? And until you get past that, if your why is not strong enough, you'll never get past it. And I listened to a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and that's what he said. Like, you have to be convinced. Like, you have to be convinced this is for you. Because if you have any doubts at all, you're not sticking to it. Like, it's not possible. And like I said, like before, I think that comes from not having proof. Like I was very lucky. Within 3 days, I had proof. This is working. Hallelujah. You know what I mean? But if they don't have proof, if they feel fine and then they're doing carnivore and then they kind of don't feel any different, then that's a little bit harder to convince yourself to continue, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very well said. Yeah. Colette, so like before finding out carnivore, actually before finding out keto altogether, right? Like, did you have any assumption what was causing your health issues in the past? I know you mentioned also about like PCOS, and then now with this endometriosis. Like, did you think it was like maybe genetics related, or maybe stress environment related, or could be a specific food trigger? With me, I had like I had psoriasis, and I thought it was just like my skin is just really dirty. I need to shower, and then maybe I'm overdoing the shower. It just keeps drying out. Many assumptions. But what
Yeah.
about for you? Did you have any assumptions?
Well, I was very lucky. So I lived in the major city of Toronto back when I found out I had PCOS. When I first had PCOS, I was a very big lady. Like my biggest that I've ever reached was 300 pounds. So, and I was very lucky to find a naturopath in Toronto that had said to me that she had told me, like, women with PCOS need to cut their carbs and sugar and she explained that to me, what it does and stuff like that. And she had put me on a very strict like diet. Like, you should not eat this. I was only eating vegetables and meat and 1 or 2 fruits a day. I believe that's what it consisted of. And she explained to me why. So like I said, like, I'm very inquisitive. I'm very, okay, let's look into this. And I did. And sure enough, that's what they were saying. Like, PCOS for most women, not all, there's different types of PCOS, but for most women that have PCOS, it's an high insulin problem. So in order to fix that, you need to bring your insulin down, lose some weight, and then it kind of fixes itself, kind of thing. And I personally think, like, the last time I went to see a naturopath was probably, I want to say like 6 years ago. And she had told me that I had lost enough weight that my PCOS was in remission. That it basically, if I tested my hormones and my insulin level, that it showed that I had nothing at all. So I was always, okay, that was proof to me that there's something with the food, right? Like, there's something there. So, like, I wasn't raised this way. Like, I come from a very like country family. My mom cooked. We always had pasta or potatoes or rice for supper. We always had dessert for supper all the time. There was always like sweets in the house. Excuse me. And it's not to say my parents did a bad job. In that generation, that was normal behavior, right? That's what they knew. That's what they knew from their parents. That's what they brought up their kids with. So I didn't have that. I didn't have like health conscientious like parents or people around me that would say, okay, yeah, that's not good for you, or you know what I mean? So I think, and I said this before too, like, when you lose 150 pounds, you have to change the way you think. A 300-pound person doesn't think the same as a 150-pound person. And I'm not saying either or are better. Like, I'm not like, body positivity, whatever. I'm not going into that subject, but it's a different person altogether. The way I thought at 300 pounds and the way I think now is I'm a completely different person. And I'm happy that I am, because the people around me now are, even though sometimes I might be a little annoying because I say it to their face sometimes, you shouldn't be eating that. But I openly talk about why you shouldn't be eating sugar. Why, what does carbs do to your body? You know what I mean? Because I have that information. Now, I know people must get annoyed, I'm sure, but my husband and I sometimes kind of joke around, because I said, do you think people really like us when we're around? And he's like, I don't know, because we're both the same. We're both like, you shouldn't eat that stuff. It's not good for you. And oh my God. Anyways, so yeah, so you have to be inquisitive. You have to look into that stuff. You have to say, why is sugar bad for me? And then do that research. Don't look on the internet of like the first like 4 pages, you know, they're going to say, oh no, there's nothing bad. But you have to look further. And to me, also a big part of that was podcasts. I started listening to podcasts, I want to say 6 years ago. I remember I have a desk job, so I'm lucky enough that I can put my headbuds on and listen to podcasts all day long. Now let's get real. I can only max 3 because after a while it's a lot of information. But I love it. I'm like a science nerd. I love when Ben Bickman comes on and talks about insulin. I love it when Dr. Philip Avadia comes on and he talks about why people get heart attacks and stuff like that. I like that information, even though I don't have those problems. It's just nice to know, like, you know, how the body works and all that stuff. So yeah, in order to invest in your body, you have to invest in information, and you have to know. You have to. That's just the way it is with the world, the way it is now, with endless like internet access. Like, why wouldn't you just take 2 minutes out of your TikTok scrolling and type in the sugar causes cancer? Or you know what I mean? Like, I'm just generalizing, but you know what I mean? Like, Google something. Why do I have high insulin? Or you know what I mean? Like, so it's important to know, I think. Yeah, everybody should know. Everybody should know. You shouldn't be in the dark. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Colette, so what keeps you motivated now, like in your journey? Like, is it sharing your story, creating awareness, you know, for people who are non-carnivore? You know, is it like trying to see, you know, and maybe help others get back, you know, control with their health? I know you mentioned also that, you know, anger carried you through up until now. Like, are you frustrated with the current medical approach, the nutrition? What are your thoughts on this?
So when I first started carnivore, and I think everybody goes through this stage where they're kind of like embarrassed, like they don't want to tell anybody, you know what I mean? Like, oh, because it causes like a little friction in people, and people don't like that. But I started a year ago just telling everybody. I go to the grocery store, I buy 50 pounds of meat. Oh, you like meat? Yeah, I'm carnivore. That's it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so, and it's not to be in people's faces. To me, like, I'm very upfront. Like, sometimes I turn people off because I'm pretty upfront. But I just want the best in people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you see somebody struggling, like, I have aunts that have asked me, like, you know, I don't feel good. I have this and this and this issue and stuff like that. And we'll discuss it. And I'll be like, I did this helped. They don't have to necessarily go carnivore. Like, my husband, when I started carnivore, he started researching about the effects of wheat and the effects and all that stuff. And he said, you know what, I'm gonna take out wheat. And just by taking out wheat, he has a fake kneecap and a pinned up ankle, and he, in the spring and in the fall, he was always in pain, always. And so he took out just wheat bread. That's all he took out. And he said within a week, he didn't have pain anymore. So, like, people just need to have a little, like, just do this. Like, you know what I mean? You don't have to change everything. Like, you don't have to, like I said, I did my things in steps. Like, I took this out, and then took a year to, like, wrap my head around that. And then I took the other thing out, and then I took a year to wrap my head around that. Like, so, like, you need to do that stuff. And my anger, like, I always funny because I've been boxing with my personal trainer for 2 years now. And I kind of get my anger with him, out with him. So I find it super fun. But yeah, no. And it's also difficult when you're with, like, either your family or people you love or whatever, and they're not in good health, and you're trying to advise them, you know what, like, maybe you should do this. And they look at you like, oh, no, like, you know, or they rather take medication. And it's like, but at what cost? Like, you're going to take medication because your insulin's high, but then you're going to be depressed for, you know, 30 days out of the 31 days of the month. And then, like, you know what I mean? Like, so to me, like, medication's not a cure for nothing, like, you know. So yeah, like, I still have that little bit of anger that they're factually knowing that they're killing us, and we think that that's, or we trust so much, like, you got to trust the government that they're doing the best for you. But at the end, are they? Like, are they really? And you find out, no, they're not. And then you're like, oh, okay, so now what? Now I can't trust anybody. So you're always having to do like your own research and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just sad when you see people suffering with with deteriorating bodies because of what they choose to eat. To me, that's hard to swallow, because there's an alternative path. Like, there's an alternative life. You don't have to live in pain. You don't have to live depressed. You don't have to have all these issues, because you can feel good. There is an option for that. You know what I mean? And you just have to buckle down and do it. Like, so yeah, it is. I think most people should be a little bit upset when they see people, like, literally, I don't want to say killing themselves, but that's what it comes down to. You know what I mean? Like, and they don't see it that way because the doctor reassures them, no, you're fine. Like, it's like, I had a doctor tell me it's normal to have fatty liver. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure that's not normal. I'm 46 years old. Oh yeah, but you're 46. That's normal. No, I'm pretty sure that's not normal. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I don't know, but I'm not a doctor or anything, but I don't think that's normal. So I was going to say, every year, this is my third or fourth year, I get an ultrasound of my abdomen and my pelvis area just to see how my endometriosis is going and stuff like that. And not last year, but the year before that, I had done an ultrasound. I had endometriomas, I had fibroids, my whole like pelvic area was inflamed with water or saline or whatever the body produces. And there was a bunch of different things. I had cysts on my ovaries. I had I have endomyosis. I have endometriosis, So, and then that was the beginning of when I did Carnivore. And then the next year had been, I think, only 8 months. So I started Carnivore in May or March. And usually my appointment is in September. So the next September, I did another ultrasound. Almost all but one fibroid was left. My endometrioma that was 6 centimeters large was gone. I had no inflammation in my pelvis area. Like, everything had reduced to the point where there was nothing left, like almost nothing left. So I'm kind of excited because I get them every September. So my appointment's in October. So I'm kind of can't wait to see what it shows. Like, I always compare from year to year. And when I mentioned it to my doctor, because you always have to review your results with your doctor, and when we went over the results of the ultrasound, he was like, "Oh, this is good, it went down. Oh, this is good, it went down. This is good." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I said, I was just curious, eh? I said, "How come everything's just kind of gone now? Like, Oh, well," he said to me, "sometimes that just happens. The body just heals itself." And I'm like, really? Like, that's what you're telling me, that the body just heals itself without changing anything else? Like, the body doesn't just heal itself. If you give it the right food, yes, it does. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you give it the right medication, like, not medication, but food and working out and stuff like that, yeah, your body can heal perfectly fine. But not if you don't change anything. Like, that's, and I haven't mentioned to him that I'm carnivore because I just don't want to hear it. There's nothing people can tell me that would make me change my mind. I actually fired my last naturopath because she kept telling me, well, you need to eat vegetables. You need to do this. And I'm like, no. If you think that I'm going to eat a vegetable or fruit and it's going to give me an attack, you're crazy. I'm never going through that again. If I can possibly stop it, then that's what I'm doing. And I'll stay carnivore until I have to, because that's what makes me feel good. And to be honest, into my research last year about endometriosis now, because people didn't really know what endometriosis was about, really. And they started doing more research. And last year, they did a research and they said that endometriosis is a gut microbiome problem, dysbiosis, gut dysbiosis. So to me, that would just make sense that you would eliminate everything else and let your gut kind of like settle down, like, and then like maybe 10 years from now, like Michaela Peterson, she tried to reintroduce stuff like 8-10 years after she did Lion, and she could handle certain things. You know what I mean? Like, and I fully am anticipating that in the next like year or two, maybe I could eat like my vegetables from my garden. And yes, I have a vegetable garden, but I don't eat it. I sell it to the public. But, I got that question last time. But yeah, but it's not for a need really, because I think once you eat carnivore, and I think that's how that's how it cured my like binge eating and my like food addiction, because you're not eating for pleasure. Eating is not supposed to be about pleasure. It's about feeding your body the right nutrients. And sometimes, yeah, I don't want to eat liver, or I don't want to eat heart. And you know what? But you do it because it's good for you. You don't want to eat sardines. They stink, whatever. But it's good for you. You know what I mean? And your body needs it. So just eat it. You're a grown-ass adult. So just do it. Like, you know what I mean? It's not hard. Like, we can't always eat Skittles. Like, you know what I mean? My husband always says I'm a little harsh, but I go on these Facebook groups and I'm like, no, don't do that. And I'm no expert. I'm just talking about experience, right? So
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, after being carnivore, I do find myself like, we're not really eating for pleasure. It's for, because our body needs it. I really agree with that. And it's also interesting your conversation with your doctor, like telling you that the body just heals itself. I mean,
yeah.
I thought that was funny, but I guess I'll be curious if you tell him that you've been doing carnivore, but I mean, he might just agree, that saying
No,
that, that's probably the change.
That's I think that's the loneliest part of carnivore. And that's why I listen to podcasts. That's why I go on Facebook groups and stuff like that. Because when you go see a professional doctor or naturopath or whatever else, and they can't offer you support, but they can offer support to vegans, but not carnivore because that's a sin or something like that in their book, like, so you feel very alone. Like you feel alone because you have nowhere to go to check if all your markers are okay. And, and they test different markers. So you're almost forced, and thank God for Dr. Sean Baker that he has a clinic that you can go there and he can give you the right information of what is normal cholesterol, what is the good cholesterol, what your vitamin D level should be, all that stuff, right? As for a carnivore, because we don't need like the certain markers that, from my understanding, is that we have different levels than a normal person of what like other people eat, right? We have different levels of what's optimal for us. So I think like I'm trying to find somebody in Ontario that I can maybe relate to and stuff like that. But it's a little hard. Like it's hard. So in the meantime, you just kind of take for granted that you're doing all right and you feel okay and there's nothing breaking down inside. And like, you're like, okay, let's do this. Like, but I feel good. Like I was telling my husband, like, I feel good. I can like actually do gardening work now without pain. I can help around the farm. I can like, and I'm not in pain. I'm not constantly on the couch or in bed or with heating pads and stuff like that. So yeah, I still have to watch. Like I still have to watch on how much activity I do. It's kind of always a learning process. It's about listening to your body and saying, okay, what do you need now? Like, and I find now I in my position that I'm in now, and because I lost all the weight, now I'm just in a matter of toning my body. So I need to start lifting weights now. But because it's summer and we're farmers, we're a little bit too busy for that. So we decided like, okay, my husband and I said, okay, October, when things settle down, we'll start lifting weights. Because I'm an aging woman and that's super important, right, for your health. So to me, it's all about keeping your body healthy and, showing your kids that too. Like, like when I first started, I did it for my daughter because I was a single mom. And I said, I'm a single mom. Like she doesn't have a father. I said, if I pass away now when she's 13 or 12, how irresponsible is that? like, because I couldn't put down the fork. That's pretty irresponsible, because she's the number one, right? She's the number one reason why I'm here. So that should be motivation for parents, to show them the right way, to, you know, to be around for them, and not just be around and sit on the couch, be around and go play outside with them. I have 2 grandsons. The oldest one doesn't sit down ever, but he loves coming to our house because we have a farm, and he runs around all the time, and that's healthy. That's what kids should be doing, you know, not sitting at the couch or on their iPad and, like, you know, going through the internet. That's not normal behavior. Kids need to go outside and play, and you should be out there playing with them as a parent, because you need to show them, like, you know, what's right. Like, I just came back from a deep tissue massage. Sorry, I'm kind of rambling. But and the guy that I go see is a big muscular guy, and he was trying to work on my hips. And the last time I saw him, he didn't have kids, and now he has 2 daughters. And so he was always into lifting weights. So he bought like a side of a gym, and he started putting like toddler and parent, like, kind of activities, right? You know? So the parent had the option to opt in or not. And most parents opted out for the physical activities. And at the end of the course, he said, this is a good opportunity for you to join. Like, this is why I made this, is for you to join with your kids, not to sit on the sideline and watch. You need to join, because that's learned in the house. Like, my daughter lifted weights for 5 years, Olympic style weightlifting. And when she did, I always told her when she was young, you do not have to do anything you don't want to, but you have to be physically active. Like, you know, and so I said to her, pick a sport and stick to it, and that you're going to be physically active. And so that's what she picked. She picked powerlifting and Olympic lifting, excuse me. And she did that for 5 years, and she loved it. Like, she squatted like 350 pounds at the age of 15. Like, who does that? You know what I mean? Like, so that's what it is now. You have to implement healthy living, carnivore or not, fruits and vegetables, right? If you want to do that, like, everybody's different, right? And being active. Pick an activity you like and do it. That's it. Like, I'm 46 and I still am. Like, I'm box all the time. So, you know what I mean? Like, and we farm, and so yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, you being able to do all those activities and also working with no pain, and your daughter doing 350 pounds. Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Colette, so what does a typical day or week eating look like for you now? Do you keep it pretty consistent, or do you switch things up from time to time? Maybe you can walk me through what you usually eat now.
Okay, so when I lost the weight on carnivore initially, at Christmas, I think I was the lowest I've ever been. Like, I weigh about 165 now. At Christmas, I had weighed 148. And to me, for my frame, I'm 5'8". I'm a big bone girl. Like, I have, you know, and at 148, that was a little too thin, like, you know, and I was only eating twice a day then. So I was eating around 10 and then coming home at 6 and then eating again. But after Christmas, I thought, you know what, like, you need a refeed, like, you know, just to give your body a break. So I started after Christmas eating 3 times a day again. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Sometimes I'll have a snack, like, you know, once in a while I'll have a snack after supper, like homemade pork rinds. I make my own homemade pork rinds for my pigs and lard and stuff like that. So anyways, so I'm kind of like in a refeed scenario right now. But I think after Christmas, when we in October, when we start lifting weights again, I'll be cutting down a little bit. I'm not too happy with the 165. I'd kind of like to lose about like 8 to 10 pounds. Like, you know, that's where I felt the most comfortable and the most at health. So yeah, so right now I eat 3 times a day, sometimes snacks, sometimes not. So breakfast is my husband and I go through 2 dozen of eggs a day. So I usually eat 6 to 7 eggs in the morning with either pork rinds or ground beef. It depends on what I cook. And lunch is always consistent of leftovers from the day before. So either pork chop, steak, whatever I had. And supper is the same. I always have eggs with a little bit of cheese and whatever meat that comes out of the freezer kind of thing. So yeah, and it pretty much stays the same all the time. Like sometimes it does get boring, but that's just it is. It's just food. You know what I mean? It's just what it is. I like the results awesome. Better.
Yeah. Colette, so if you had to describe the impact of carnivore in your life, what one word would you describe it, and tell me why?
What word? Oh, geez. I don't know if it's one word, but just open-minded. Like, just, it just kind of opens your eyes to things. Like I said, once you start doing research, it really opens your eyes. And you need to be kind of nerdy about that stuff. Like, and be passionate about it. Share it with the world. Because I always say that. You're shy about being a carnivore, but one day you could turn around and somebody in the store is struggling with something, some pain or an illness that person has, and you can strike up a conversation and you say, oh, I'm carnivore. They don't have to agree, but you know that the minute you leave, those people are going, oh, she's carnivore, she's crazy. Oh, as if you only eat meat. Oh my God. But then that seed is in there. Like, you know what I mean? And then they'll have a weak moment where they're in pain or something, and they'll type in carnivore and they'll be like, oh, maybe that chick wasn't so crazy after all. Like, you know what I mean? Like, keep planting those seeds, like keep doing it, because we're an ailing, like our population is so sick, like it's so sick. And a lot of people have to open their eyes about what's going on. And if you're that shining light, then so be it. Even if they tell you you're crazy, who cares? You know what I mean? Who cares what people say? Like, you know the truth. You know your own reality, and you know the power of what it can do. So just be powerful and proud about that. Like, you know, yeah, share it with everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, is there anything hard about being carnivore for you? You know, some examples, I think you've talked about this early on, like for me would be like social gatherings with family, friends, non-carnivore, right? And then some travel, you know, scouting locations if they had like, if they're carnivore friendly or anything like that, in case you know, I don't want to starve. Or cravings in the beginning took me like over a year to get it out of my system. Is there anything difficult for you or hard?
Oh, for sure. Like people say I'm strong-willed and stuff like that, but I'm also human. Like sometimes I could be baking a cake for somebody and be like, oh, sometimes that's hard. Or you know what I mean? Or you see a reel on people baking something super yummy and you're like, oh yeah, like that would be cool. Like, you know, or the summer, that's what I said to my husband yesterday, it's been so nice outside. And I'm like, oh, I'm not even an ice cream person, but I said, oh, an ice cream would have been nice. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I still get those cravings. Like, I'm not like, you know, I'm not a robot. Like, you know, like, but yes, going out to eat is a different story altogether. You kind of have to find a really good steakhouse, right? Because like, if not, like, then it's kind of very limited. Like a lot of restaurants don't just offer meat, you know, and if they do, you're paying for the whole plate, and that becomes expensive because then you're asking for 2 plates. Like instead of paying $30, you're paying $60 for your meal. Well, then it becomes expensive. My husband and I still cheat about maybe once every 2 months. We go out and get some chicken wings and stuff like that. Like that's our little, like, you know. But family gatherings are hard too. Like I said, my mom was always a baker, and sometimes she bakes stuff, like, and when we're all together and stuff like that. And sometimes those memories, childhood memories, kind of kick in, right? Like, and I'm sure with you, your mom must have baked stuff for you when you were a kid, and you still remember that stuff. You still remember the taste. You still remember the family coming together, the people, like, you know. But at the end of the day, what I noticed the most, because I've done a few Christmases now on carnivore and a few Easters and all that stuff, like family get-togethers and stuff like that. But the last Christmas, I said to myself, you know what? It's about people. It's about being with people. It's not necessarily what's on your plate. It's who you're around with. You're enjoying that moment. It's not like, you know, I said, it's not about the piece of dessert you're not getting, like, because there's always different options. And if we're going to a party, I always ask, what are you having? And if they don't have enough meat options, I'll bring my own. No big deal. I'm not insulted. You know, I chose this life. They didn't choose this life. And they invite you for supper. Then you have to make sure you have food there. And if they don't have food for you, then you got to bring your own. And that's okay. Like, that's okay. They wanted you there. They invited you. That's good enough. Like, you know, food doesn't matter. I don't know, like, we're French. I'm like French. I come from a French family. So French people in Ontario, they celebrate with food. You know, you have a piece of cake, no, have 3. Like, you know what I mean? Like, eat. Like, they love you with food, like, you know, and that's okay. But when you learn different ways, you have to learn how to love people a different way. You know, like, it's not about food. It's not pushing food on people. It's about loving them and having conversations and like getting, you know, really getting to know them and stuff like that. So yeah, it's hard, but not really. You know what I mean? Like, when you put it in perspective, you're like, just food. But once in a while, you still get that little, ooh. You know, it's so weird for me. It's not even desserts anymore. It's fruits. I miss fruits. Like, in the summer, like when I was pregnant with my daughter, I was pregnant in the summer with her. And I swear to God, I think I ate watermelon and strawberries in my weight with just watermelon and strawberries. That's all I would eat all day. Like, I loved fruit. So fruits is a little hard. I find it's a little hard, that one. But like you said, like, it's just something my body doesn't agree on. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Colette, so knowing what you know now about the nutrition, the carnivore lifestyle, right? And you've done keto diet. Like, if you can give an advice to someone who may have had a similar issue like yours, right? And they want to put it into remission, but at the same time, they're very skeptical about this whole lifestyle thing. They think they're going to get a heart attack or some heart-related issue. They have no idea, right? Yeah. What would you tell them?
I often direct people to the experts, right? Because let's get real, I'm not an expert. I'm not. Like, I'm an expert in my own situation. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I on Facebook, I have endometriosis groups, and a lot of ladies will say, what do I eat? Because I get inflamed every time I eat something. And I tell them, like, I went carnivore and I feel awesome. And some people will take that and do it, and some people won't, right? So, you just have to, I don't know, just try. Just try. Like, just try it out. Try it out for a month. I tell people, try it out for a month. See, like, really commit to it. Like, anybody can do anything for a month. You know what I mean? Like, just do it for a month. And then if you have no relief, then do whatever you want. But I highly doubt that if you did it for a month, the proper way, like, you know, we're not cheating and adding certain things. Like, no, we're doing it the proper way. I highly doubt that people will tell me they don't feel good. Like, I don't see that. I made multiple comments on endometriosis groups, and a lot of ladies said they are carnivore and it helped them and they feel awesome. So I think a lot of people should try. Like, and it also depends how much pain you're in. I find pain is a great motivator, right? Because the more in pain you are, the more desperate you become to find a solution. And unless you want to take medication, I did the medication thing. I had a gynecologist, and I fired her too as well, an OBGYN, and she just wanted to put me on birth control. And I tried the birth control thing for a couple months, and I was miserable. I felt like a zombie. I was sore all over, and I said to her, I don't want to do this. And then she wanted to put me on another medication that might trigger osteoarthritis, sorry. And I said to her, why would I take this stuff? I don't have osteoarthritis right now. And then you're going to tell me I'm going to take this medication and it might cause osteoarthritis. So on top of all the problems I have, it might trigger something else on top of that. Like, are you crazy? I'm good. Like, I'm in pain enough as it is. I don't need extra, you know. But yeah, like, you have to just try it. Just try it. I'm not going to kill you. And if they're worried about the cholesterol, then go follow Dr. Philip Avadia. He explains it beautiful on his podcast on what kind of cholesterol we need, how much, all that stuff, what it affects, like, you know, how you shouldn't take statins, all that stuff. like I pretty much know all the experts now in carnivore. So I'm always like, go see him, like, and they'll break it down for you. They'll tell you the science behind it. I'm not going to tell you that stuff because I don't know all the terminology. I'm not a doctor. I've never studied that stuff, but go follow them. They're there for a reason. They're there for education and stuff like that. So go research. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like there's so many experts now in the community, and like you said, if it's related to cholesterol, you can just like direct them to Dr. Abadia, Dr. Kiltz with the fertility. I think I like also that you mentioned about pain being the motivator. The more pain you're suffering, I'm sure the more you're gonna be willing to look up, something that's gonna like give you a relief or something, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. Like 100%. That's what it was for me. Like, I'm not some superhero. That's what it was for me. I was in pain every day and I would have done anything. I would have done anything to get my life back. And that's what it came down to. And I'm perfectly fine with that choice. Like, like if that's the price I have to pay for my body to like chill out and be at ease and stuff like that, then I'll happily do it. Like, so yeah, you got to treat, because it's your only body. So you got to be passionate about protecting it and serving it the right stuff. And yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Colette, you've been carnivore for over 2 years. So what about for carnivores who've been carnivore for over a year, right? Let's say they've been experiencing like so much benefits, inside that 1 year, but like all of a sudden, like after a year, they might be experiencing some oxalate dumping. They don't know it, or it could be lack of electrolytes or some other negative effects, or maybe they're just like guesstimating like eating fat and they're having diarrhea. What suggestion can you tell them? Like, should they just go, see other carnivores, or maybe look for an expert on, in the community, or maybe just, don't give up on this, like, completely. Maybe it's just like tweaking or adjustments. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, for sure. It's 100% tweaking. Like, about 8 to 10 months ago, I was having cramps in my feet every day. Like every day I would go to bed and my feet and my legs would cramp up. And I said, okay, what's going on with this? Like, so it was just a lack of salt, like in the water. Like I didn't have enough salt. Like when you're up on your feet all day and you're active and you sweat it out, you need some water. So you need a little bit of salt in your water. And that was the only problem that it was, really. And throughout the years, I learned that there is a group on Facebook for oxalate dumping. And a lot of people there say what their symptoms are and stuff like that. And until you start looking into that stuff, because I had listened to one of the podcasts with Sally Norton, and she was saying it could take up to 1 to 3 years before you get rid of all the oxalates in your body. So sometimes you got to say, okay, like your body's processing. If you haven't changed anything, you haven't introduced any more food, like, you know what I mean? It's always been the same. Then obviously there's something going on right there too. I find a lot of people, what they do wrong as well is that they eat a little bit too much dairy. And you have to be careful, right? Because dairy is highly inflammatory. Unless you get like the specific type there, it might be a little bit less inflammatory. But for somebody like me, I have to watch my dairy consumption because it's not like something that you can just eat free willy. You have to monitor. It's high in carbs, like, there's sugars and stuff like that. So you have to monitor on how much you eat. So a lot of times, like I tell people, like cut the dairy out and just see. Do it for 30 days, do it for a couple months and see how you feel. If you feel good, then it's the dairy. If you don't feel good, then obviously it wasn't the dairy, it's something else. So you have to kind of research into that. So you always have to, your body's constantly changing, I find. And your job is to know why it's changing, like, and what's going on in your body now. Okay, why is it doing this? And you got to say, okay. And then sometimes you just got to, I'm pretty bad for that, where I type in a subject and the podcast and carnivore, and then something like a podcast will come up with whatever subject, like, that a carnivore expert talked about, like, So, and then you listen to that podcast and then it kind of brightens up your eyes and you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like, maybe I should do that, So yeah, just do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I feel like I was absorbing that suggestion because I feel like I had the same experience. I mean, I did listen to when you talked about what was her name again? The Oxalate Queen. I forgot.
Oh, the dog, Sally Norton, yes.
Sally Norton. Yes.
Yeah.
So I've listened to that also. I think that's during my first few months of research. I think listening to that 1 to 3 years, you could experience oxalate dumping. So I said not to give up inside those 3 years. Yeah. And then
Yeah, and she explains it so beautifully, right? Like she explains it so nice. Like plants do this; they have oxalates to defend themselves because they can't defend themselves, and then you ingest it, and then you get sick. And after she explains it, you're like, oh, that kind of makes sense. Like I'm at the point. I can't even go garden with short sleeves. If I go garden with short sleeve, if I touch a plant, everything's itchy. Like I have to go wash right away. It's almost to the point my whole body's allergic to plants almost because I gotta wash right away when I touch a plant. Like it's not even a high allergic plant. It's just some plant in the garden. You know what I mean? But yeah, my body's like, no, not even touching it. Like, so it has an impact for sure. Like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think the way she puts it, like you said, it's like, yeah, this is completely logical. It makes sense now. Like I can see all the toxins now, like throughout the years I've been eating plants. Yeah.
Yeah. And then not only that, like we're farmers, we're regenerative farmers. So we don't believe in spraying toxic on our fields, right? And stuff like that. So even if you get past the oxalates and you're like, it's not a big deal. Are you eating the stuff that's sprayed on there? Like, do you want to eat that stuff that's sprayed on there? So you don't believe in oxalates. That's fine. Good for you. But you're eating poison anyways. Like, you know what I mean? So even if I got to that point where I can eat vegetables again, it would only be seasonal. It would be from my garden, because like I'm not buying vegetables from the garden, from the store. Like that's kind of nasty. I don't know. Once you know what they spray on there, you're like, I don't want to eat that. Like it kills stuff. So it's killing you while you're eating it too. Like, when they say that you can crush one strawberry and there's enough pesticides in the strawberry to spray another field to spray pesticides, are you really going to eat that strawberry? Like, holy mac, like what is that doing into your body? Like once you start researching that, then ooh, it's not so fun anymore. Everybody says I'm a pessimist. No, I'm just a realist. That's what's happening out there. You know what I mean? I'm not being pessimistic. That's what's happening. And I know because the farm that we're on now, before we started farming, my parents had rented it out to another farmer and he was spraying pesticides on the property. To the point where we said, okay, no, enough. We're taking over all of this. Like, go away with your pesticides. Like, the ground is dead. Nothing's growing in it. But you're spraying like, pesticides and herbicides and all that stuff and fertilizer and to grow. But the ground is dead. Then you're just eating chemicals. There's nothing in the plant to grow from the ground. There's no nutrients from the ground because there's nothing in there. Like our ground. When they left, the next year we tried to plant corn just naturally, like no pesticides, nothing. It wouldn't grow. It grew this much like, all summer because the ground's dead. Like that's what happened. That's happening all over the world. Like, so I don't want to be eating that stuff. That's not something I want to be ingesting. We're exposed enough like stuff that's bad for us. Like even to the point now where I use tallow soap. Like I don't wear deodorant. I don't stink. I find with Carnivore, you don't stink, right? So you don't wear deodorant. I make my own natural toothpaste. Like this fall, we're going to put a system in our house where we're taking out the fluoride out of our water. Like we're all into that stuff. Like the goal is to delay the inevitable. You know what I mean? Like people always say to me like, oh, well, just live your life. We're all going to die eventually. Yeah, but I don't want to suffer for 30 years to get there. I want to feel good. Like I want to live my life until I pass away, whether that's sleeping in the bed or getting run over by a car. I don't know what it is, but you know what I mean? I don't want to be in pain every day. That's not living. Like, like, so, and if you change the way of eating and you're not in pain every day, why is that not worth anything? Like, it's worth everything in your life to not be in pain, because I know that's not a way. That's not a way to live. So you got to look at that stuff. You got to open your mind. Like I said, that's the word. Open your mind. Be open-minded. Do some research, buy your vegetables. If you want to eat vegetables, buy it from an organic producer. You want the best meat, go buy it from a farmer. People are always, it bugs me so much. People are always against pork, and we raise pork here, and pork don't eat their own feces. They don't eat other animals. They don't eat people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh my God, our pork don't even eat like root vegetables. You tell them to eat a root vegetable, they're like, no. Like, they won't even eat peppers unless you slice it up for them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're worried about where your food comes from, then go directly to the place that grows it and buy it from there. I know that's not an option for everybody that lives in big cities and stuff like that, but do the best you can, like, so yeah, you have to be conscious about that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I feel like I learned more things now. I did hear about that pork thing about the feces thing, like, a while back, and I never believed that,
Yeah.
because I eat pork. Yeah.
Yeah, I listened to a podcast, so I'm not sure who it was with, just a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking about Gary Fettke's wife. I don't know. Anyways, and she was saying they had studies about the countries that live the longest, and one of those countries, it was Sardinia. And she was saying, actually, Sardinia, when they started, that's all they ate was pork. When you think about it, most people don't have land for cattle, so they eat pork. Like, I know in the Philippines, it's huge. Like, pork's huge. Like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of countries, that's all they eat is pork. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, if that's what you can afford and that's what you like to eat, then eat that. That's fine. Eat any type of meat you want. Like, yes, you have to have a lot of red meat and stuff like that, but when you're not eating red meat, eat the rest of the stuff. Like, so yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Colette, so my last question to you is your future outlook. How do you see Carnivore in the next 5 to 10 years? Do you see it being in a good light or a bad light? Meaning, we'll probably see some censorship or media pushback even heavier, maybe the big pharma, or maybe meat prices are going to skyrocket. At the same time, the good light could be more people wanting to learn about it, more podcasts here and there, and specific diseases like being healed, improving, remission. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, for me, carnivore is a life thing for me. Whether I can eat vegetables later on, it'll probably not be an everyday thing either. But I think it's like a kind of like a double-edged sword. I think people are gaining traction with carnivore, right? Like, for a little while, it was like quiet. Nobody talked about it, because we're all crazy. And then now people are starting to inform themselves. It's not very often where I say, oh, I'm carnivore, and somebody will say, oh, what's that? I don't get a lot of that. I always hear, oh yeah, I heard about that. So now I think when people get informed now and they try it out for themselves, their eyes will be open. But as the population changes now, the government and the pharmacy, I think, is going to kind of like panic a little bit and be like, no, you can't have this, or it's going to make it a little bit more difficult to access meat. I think it's kind of going to be hard, I think, for a little bit, but we just kind of have to stick together and be like, no, this is what we want. Like, and I heard somebody somewhere say, like, we run the government by what we want. We tell the government what we want, and it's not for them to boss us around. We tell them, okay, no, we want this. So you kind of have to be like, put your foot down in a sense, or maybe it'll go rogue and you have to do like a side deal in the back alley for half a cow or something. I don't know. With a farmer, you know what I mean? Like, meet me in the back alley. their favorite farmer. I'm hard on farmers because I'm a farmer, but people should have their favorite farmer on speed dial and be like, I need this. Like, I have customers that come to us that only eat our meat, and that's awesome. Like, they know where it comes from. They know it's well raised well. They know, like, we treat our animals well. We love our animals. I have a Facebook page for our business, and I had my first, I think she was vegan, but I had my first vegan hate mail. Like, I posted pictures of our cute little pigs, and she said, how can you love them if you're going to eat them? I said, I love them because we raise them properly and we care for our animals. You always love your animals. Even though you're going to eat that animal, you still treat it with respect. You still treat it nice. You still give them pats. Like, they have a life to live. The last 2 seconds of their life might not be pleasant, but they have to make their whole life nice. Like, and I said, at what cost? They're not in a factory farm where they have a little sliver like this to live in for the rest of their life. Like, laying hens have a 1 foot by 1 foot box that they stay in their whole lives to lay eggs. And you don't want to eat my eggs that run around in the back like that. They're happy and they eat bugs, and you know what I mean? Like, so it's, I'm going off, but I think people are going to push back, but there's going to be some pushback, right? So because they are now losing millions and billions of money because we're curing our bodies and we're not taking their drugs anymore. So something has to change, right? But those CEOs at the pharmacy company that they're making millions of dollars because you're getting sick, like, to me, that's not going to stop anything. Like, if they come to me and they said, like, we're taking your animals over my dead body, you know what I mean? Like, like, you can't take away the way we eat our food, like, so yeah, I think we have a little bit of a war, but I'm up for the fight, and I think most carnivores are, because we know what it can do. So yeah.
I really like what you said there. I feel like when you get that hate mail from the vegan, right? And pretty much you're saying that we treat our animals like, of course we have to care for them. They have to live their life, in good for the longest, but maybe the last 2 seconds is not. I mean, I feel like that's totally fair. I mean, what else could it be? Their whole life, they're in good condition, So,
yeah. People should educate themselves on factory farming. Like, if you saw the way animals are raised in factory farming, you'll call a farmer right away, because that is not pleasant to see, and it's not hard to see. You can just Google it, YouTube it, like, you know what I mean? It's all over the internet. So yeah, like I said, again, educate yourself, look at stuff, open your eyes. It's not what people portray it is, like, so yeah, we're very passionate about that. So
that's awesome. Colette, so if people want to reach out or connect with you, where's the best place to reach you?
So I have like a dummy Facebook page. I don't really use it under Chloe Smith, but like I said, I don't use it. We have a page called Backyard Growers. So it's my husband and I with my daughter, and I'm holding a pitchfork, and my husband's holding a shovel, and my daughter's holding a little chicken. So you can follow us there. You can also reach me at backyardgrowers@mail.com. You can follow me there as well, or my personal email at Chloe, so CLOE @post.com. So you can send me information. If you have any questions regarding endometriosis or anything like that, send me an email. I'll be happy to answer you.
That's excellent, Colette. I'm going to make sure to post them in the description so people can reach you. I'm going to check out the website also with the picture of your family. Colette, thank you so much again for joining me. I really enjoyed hearing your story and learning about your whole carnivore journey. I appreciate you taking the time to share. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joseph.